you very much.
Mr. Hernandez, you're up. Mr. Hernandez, you have two bills on suspense, SB 33 and SB 804. People who presented in the past on the suspense items went on the double secret suspense file. You don't want to do that. So your other bill is SB 464 with a due pass recommendation.
That is correct, Mr. Chair and members, and I will only be presenting this. We'll be waiving presentation of the others.
Thank you so much. Please proceed.
Okay, this bill will expand access to hormonal contraception by permitting the use of mobile apps to connect patients with healthcare providers more efficiently and effectively. Self-reporting tools are used every day and help healthcare professionals collect patient information. For example, like questionnaires you fill out when you first see your provider. These tools are used to collect information like family, medical, substance abuse, etc. Many women face barriers when trying to obtain contraception, especially in rural underserved areas. The ability to use mobile apps to interact with providers will increase access to contraception. And members, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
We have a motion by Calderon, a second by Wood. Would you like to have your witnesses present, please?
I would like, please.
Beth Parker, Chief Legal Counsel, Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California. This bill will allow us to increase access to birth control, which is still the cause, the lack of access is still the cause of many unintended pregnancies, and it should have minimal fiscal impact.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Bonnie Zell, board-certified OBGYN physician with Icebreaker Health in support.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
We estimate minor and absorbable costs.
Thank you so much. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, would you like to close, Senator?
Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you so much. We have a motion by Calderon, a second by Wood. This bill is out on an A roll call with Gallagher not voting. Oh, Gallagher, no. Thank you so much. Senator Hancock, you're up. Senator, thank you for your patience. You have a SB 188 enjoys a due pass recommendation. Please begin.
Mr. Chair, this bill eliminates a sunset date in a law that is working so that we can collect the water bill from landlords when the tenant has been paying the rent and the landlord has not been passing it on to the water agency. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
We have a motion by Wood, a second by Eggman. Witnesses, please.
I'm Marlene Dumaine with the East Bay Municipal Utility District, and we're one of the sponsors of this measure. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. Steve Wallach on behalf of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, also a co-sponsor, and urge your support.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
Finance is neutral on the bill as it allows municipal utility districts to recover water and wastewater-related delinquent charges from the owners of a property which have accrued the delinquent charges rather than terminating water service to tenants. We estimate no fiscal impact to the state, and the mandate created by the bill would not be reimbursable.
Thank you so much. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, would you like to close, Senator?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. We have a motion by Wood, a second by Eggman, and this bill is out on a B roll call with Wagner, aye. Thank you. Senator Gaines. Senator Gaines, you have SB 605. It's due pass with an amendment adding a mandate disclaimer.
That's
Please
correct.
proceed.
That's correct, yeah. Thank you, Chair Rendon. Senate Bill...
Chair Gomez.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Bill's now on suspense. Please continue.
I apologize.
I'll rescind that.
All right. Let me start over here. Senate Bill 605 recognizes the integrated regional economy the Lake Tahoe Basin by offering good neighbor tuition rates to Lake Tahoe Community College to a limited number of students who reside in Nevada. This will only happen if the Chancellor of the California Community Colleges deems that there is a reciprocal agreement in place with Nevada. This will not be one-sided. The eligible Nevada students would come from 6 small communities such as Incline Village and State Line, Nevada. No more than 200 Nevada students would be eligible in any one academic year. This bill will also sunset in 2022. There is a history of cooperation between California and Nevada to ensure success on critical issues such as Lake Tahoe clarity that are very important to both states. SB 605 has no opposition, and this is another opportunity for states to work together for our mutual benefit. And it's a very interesting dynamic within the basin because the lake is split in two between Nevada and California, and you have a lot of border crossing for business and for schooling and the economy. So I urge your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Witnesses in support?
Samantha Corbett on behalf of the Lake Tahoe Community College District. We respect your aye vote on this measure. As the member described, it's an extremely modest measure that would restore more affordable access to higher education for the community's most disadvantaged residents by exempting residents only in certain communities from non-resident tuition. This bill, which passed the Senate unanimously, represents a 3-year work in progress with the Senate Education Committee to craft something that's extremely targeted and narrow to address a very specific problem. As the member mentioned, the Basin community is a one-of-a-kind geographical, political, and economic region comprised of 2 states, 5 counties, multiple cities, and municipalities. The community college is only 3 miles from the state line border. As a result, the college's core community is bifurcated by the state line. The next nearest public institution is 25 miles away in Nevada, an hour drive through mountainous terrain. It's important to note, members, that the Basin is often inaccurately characterized as a wealthy community, when in truth there are 2 classes that dominate. First, of course, the more affluent, who are often retirees and non-resident second homeowners. But the second is the resident service class, who work in casinos, hotels, restaurants, and the recreation industry on both California and Nevada sides of the state line. For these residents, community college is the only viable option. Without it, most have no opportunity to obtain the training and skills necessary to better their lives or that of their family. Most of these students come to Tahoe as service industry workers, make minimum wage, and are English language learners. Support of SB 605 is crucial because the community college is the only public higher education institution that serves the workforce development needs of this region. And just if you'll allow me, in 2011, after tuition increases in California, our students flocked to Nevada institutions of higher education, which left Nevada institutions impacted in some places up to 20% more with California students. At this time, the Nevada Board of Regents voted to end the Good Neighbor policy, and now students are paying $7,000 per year. This is a price that most students simply cannot afford. We urge your aye vote on this bill, which is reciprocal, narrowly focused, and limited to only 200 full-time students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance.
Finance anticipates Prop 98 general fund cost pressures of up to $360,000 a year.
That's different. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none. This bill has been a. You want to have a question? No.
No, I was just going to say we're going to go A on Senator Canella's bill.
Okay. We have a. We have a motion by Wood, a second by Bloom. This bill is out on an A roll call. Congratulations, Senator Canella.
Hey, thank
you
so much.
Senator Liu, you're up. Senator Liu, you have one bill that requires a presentation. That's SB 492, and then you have one bill on suspense, 172, and SB 445 is on consent. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members. Today, I'm presenting SB 492, which requires DHCS to create an educational guide for consumers in a coordinated care initiative, or the CCI. This guide would inform beneficiaries of their rights and how to access services. Currently, CCI rollout in some pilot counties has not gone smoothly. The enrollment process is complex and confusing for our low-income seniors and persons with disabilities.
Move the bill. We have a motion and a second. Please continue.
DHCS currently publishes a guide specifically detailing consumer rights, but only for a small proportion of the CCI population, those enrolled in Cal MediConnect. For the remaining 60% of the CCI population receiving long-term services and supports, consumers rely on the health providers in each of the pilot counties information on rights and available resources. This bill streamlines information across various sources into one document provided at the agency level. As noted in the analysis, this bill would incur minor cost to the state of less than $150,000. The state has invested millions of dollars into the CCI. Fiscally, it is a reasonable step towards providing consumers with accurate information about the program. Further, the bill avoids excessive production costs by requiring DHCS to distribute the guide electronically and only by hard copy upon request from the public. So I have witnesses in support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Your witness in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Beverly Yu, and I'm with UDW, AFSCME Local 3930, representing 77,000 IHSS providers in 21 counties throughout California. We are here today in strong support of SB 492. The state is committing millions of dollars to the Coordinated Care Initiative, and the cost of an educational and informational guide to help consumers and patients in understanding their rights is minuscule by comparison. It is critical that CCI consumers, some of our state's most medically fragile seniors, and people with disabilities know their rights under the CCI. The more they understand about this important program, the more likely they are to enroll and stay enrolled. For these reasons, we urge your aye vote on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
Yes, Finance is opposed to the bill as it's unnecessary and adds general fund costs to the Medi-Cal program. We note much of the information required by the bill is already provided on the Coordinated Care Initiative website, including provider directories, beneficiary notices, consumer protections, and other educational materials.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, and what was just stated by Department of Finance is kind of my concern. I totally get the motivation behind this, and I'm supportive of I think what you're trying to do. But I think the question is, isn't this already available through the Cal MediConnect Plan guidebook and other resources? Do we need to do a whole new program and new guidebook when we already have some things that are available?
But the current guidebook is not inclusive. So we disagree with the Department of Finance. And the information may be everywhere, but not in one place. So it's not easily accessible. It's like when I currently chair the Aging and Long-Term Care subcommittee or select committee, and what happens in the state is that we have about 119 programs dealing with seniors, distributed over about 15 different departments. So if you have a particular problem, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to every department to look for a program that, it's that kind of stuff. And so we're just trying to, and this Coordinated Care Initiative is really important for the state. We've invested a lot of money into it. So, and there's lots of people who, the 60% of the folks don't know all of their benefits that they can get from the state. So it's just a very, I call it simple mindset about how to be more effective in your delivery, and this is our answer to the problem.
So why not direct Department of Healthcare Services to make that guidebook all inclusive, make the existing resource better?
Well, I think that's what this bill is trying to do.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Any other questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, we appreciate the Department of Finance input. We see that this bill would not exceed $150,000 in cost, and therefore is a due pass recommendation to the floor of the Assembly. We have a motion by Eggman, a second by Wood. This bill is out on a roll call with Gallagher voting no. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Senator Pan. Senator Pan, your bill will be going on to the double secret suspense file for presenting today on it. So please continue.
Well, thank you. I believe we're waiving presentation on, let's see, one of my bills. And I'm going to be presenting SB 574.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. SB 574 is a measure that will bring transparency and accountability to UC investments made in private companies by disclosing information that the University of California promised the California legislature that they would disclose. In fact, in 2005, that's about 10 years ago, the UC promised to the legislature under SB 439 by Senator Simidian that the University of California disclose fund-by-fund performances for its venture capital investments. That bill was carefully crafted to preserve the public's right to know about the performance of public investments and also to enable public pension funds to continue investing in alternative investments. UC itself recognized back in 2005 that fund-by-fund disclosure performance information would not jeopardize its ability to invest in venture capital funds. Therefore, SB 574 would not put the UC at risk of losing investments. This bill would not get the UC involved in litigation because the contracts which are entered into between public pension funds and venture capital firms always give the public pension funds a right to performance information. Therefore, UC will not experience any litigation costs. SB 574 would close the UC investment disclosure loophole that has allowed the UC regents to forgo their responsibility to be transparent and accountable without any litigation costs or risk of losing investments. Today with me to testify in support of the bill is Jim Ewert of the General Counsel of the California Newspaper Publishers Association. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Your witness, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Jim Ewert, General Counsel for the California Newspaper Publishers Association. Just want to reiterate two things. One, that the UC is obtaining the information that's at issue here from all of its other alternative investment partners. It's only two, Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia, that it has entered into an arrangement with to not obtain this information and therefore not disclose it. Second, I also want to point out that there's a factual disparity that we're having with the UC right now on their assertion that it's going to have a cost associated with litigating to obtain these funds. We have asked for the contract that they allege prevents them from getting the information. We understand that there's a provision in that contract that allows them to have access to it. They refuse to provide it, ironically citing the very statute that we negotiated with them in the Simidian bill back in 2005. And as you well know, the Public Records Act requires them to redact any information that falls within that statute, Government Code Section 6254.26, and disclose the remainder of the document. They have refused to do so, claiming that that exemption allows them to withhold the entire contract. So I just want to make that absolutely clear, and we urge you to vote aye when the suspense calendar is considered. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition?
Chair Gomez and members of the committee, Steve Juarez with the University of California. We are vigorously opposed to SB 574, and I'm going to try to enumerate the reasons as quickly as I can and try to focus on the fiscal. First of all, the bill is patently unfair because it only applies to UC, and notwithstanding what the proponents may say about the other public pension investment funds that may, in fact, do these types of things and that they don't do them, we do not know that for certain. There are hundreds of investment funds that are out there that this bill would not apply to. So he's trying to very narrowly apply it to the University of California. Most importantly, we are bound by contracts that we sign with the two firms that were mentioned to not solicit certain information. And that was a part of the agreement in order to get into those funds, which have been, quite frankly, very lucrative for the university. As to the question of cost, we would have to indeed go after those firms to provide us that information, which would be against the very contracts that we signed. And in order to do so, they've already told us they will not give us that information because we've agreed that we would not seek that information. We would have to sue them. We assume that our costs are very much in the neighborhood of the costs that we incurred when Reuters sued us in the first place that basically generated this legislation. So there's no doubt in our mind that the $500,000 figure is a fairly accurate one. On top of that, we were very conservative. We did not press the issue of opportunity costs that we might incur if we were forced to get out of these contracts. Both of these firms have done very well by the university, have done very well by the state. If we were forced out of the contracts, one in particular is still in its fair infancy in terms of making investments, and we anticipate big returns from that particular fund. If we're forced out of that particular contract, I can assure you we stand to lose millions of dollars because of that. So even though we didn't press that issue with the committee, we believe that this bill could have very catastrophic cost with regard to losing the opportunity associated with those two funds. I did want to mention, with regard to the claim by the proponent, that in fact we did not follow PRA in terms of providing the contract. We were asked to provide the contract via telephone call. It was never subject to a PRA request, which we received on Monday. I can assure you, and I can assure the author and the proponents, we will gladly provide a redacted version of the contract if that's what they're looking for. But as of Monday, we had not received a formal PRA request. We have a process when we do receive such a request. There's a very strict protocol on how we handle those types of things, and we'll be happy to provide the information. It'll be redacted and may not give the author the information he thinks that he's going to get. But in any event, we would ask the Commission to hold this committee due to the costs associated with the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Mira Morton here on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce, also in opposition. And for us, this bill really boils down to maintaining the UC's ability to make good investments with its endowment funds so that they can continue to support university operations and student funding so that we don't have increased pressure on the general fund, which, as you know, is becoming a big issue in this state. These alternative investments are very different from other types of investments. They're not something where you can get out of year over year if you decide, oh, it doesn't look good right now. And by their nature, they don't look good in the first couple of years because all of the costs come up front, all of the investments come up front, and all the gains come at the end. The UC does have the information that it needs in order to determine whether these are the good types of investments to make, but they won't know the full value of the investment until the vehicle expires. There are a number of firms who, for whatever reason, even though many firms think that it's fine to turn this over, they don't want to turn over the specific information that's being requested here. And so they require public entities who are subject to Public Records Act all over the country to not get the information so that it cannot be grabbed through the Public Records Act of that state. It's happened in other states, and most of the private endowments that are actually the most profitable invest in these two firms in particular, but in many other alternative investments. And it hasn't jeopardized their profitability. In fact, it may have enhanced it. And so we think that if you pass this measure, you won't actually get the information that's being sought. You will get the UC being cut out of the opportunity to invest with those companies. And as a result, we will actually potentially lose money with our endowment investments in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other individuals from the public in opposition? If not, Department of Finance?
UC reports that this bill will create a strong possibility of expensive litigation with costs of at least $500,000. Under the administration's approach to funding, the university would not receive any additional funds for these costs. Furthermore, UC indicates this bill could prevent it from participating in certain promising investments.
Thank you so much, Department of Finance. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, would you like to close, Mr.
Yes, actually, there's several things I'm wanting to address, and in fact, find the testimony of UC rather astonishing after their testimony at the Higher Ed Committee, because they previously had testified that the reason they couldn't disclose the information is they actually had a contract that they made before 2005. So it's over 10 years ago. I think they said 2003. That was why they purportedly, and that's what we're trying to get through the Public Records Act, this contract, 2003, that they claimed that says that they couldn't get, and we're just asking for performance information. We're not asking for on a fund-by-fund basis. So this is just simply what's the rate of return. Okay, this is not secret proprietary information, but of course we don't have the contract, so we can't see. And yet, they are saying that these are high-performing funds, so they're getting some performance information. And also, I'd point out that he just referred to they made a new investment for something that I guess is tied to a contract that was made in 2003. And also, they testified in higher education that they were going to wind out of these contracts as well. So I have to admit I'm a bit confused about the testimony. In addition, I would point out that in conversations with CalPERS and CalSTRS, our other public investment funds, that they get actually performance information from all their investments, and they certainly also invest in private equity firms. In fact, UC does get returns from all its other private equity firms except Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia. So it's just it's a narrow group, and I would argue that certainly we want our investment funds for whether it's our pension funds or our higher education funds, of course, certainly to have the maximum opportunity to get the returns, but they also need to be accountable, and simply to get performance information. What's the rate of return you're getting? I think is not something that's unreasonable, and in fact, I think most of our other funds do that for us. So when they say that only UC is being targeted, it's only UC that's not providing the information, despite the fact they agreed to this back in 2005. So I understand this is going on suspense, but I would appreciate your support in getting it off suspense when the appropriate time comes for, I think, all the reasons that have been previously explained. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Pan. This bill is on suspense. We'll take it up in due course, and that's the good thing about suspense. We have an ability to really look deeper into proponents and opposition claims. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Wood, on behalf of Senator McGuire, SB 141 enjoys a due pass recommendation. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill clarifies that the Humboldt Bay Harbor Recreation and Conservation District is authorized to sell or transfer certain property and make several other changes to the district's ask.
We have a motion by Eggman, a second by Garcia. Witnesses in support?
Thank you. Sherry Pemberton on behalf of the California State Lands Commission. We're in support.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
We estimate no costs.
No cost. Great bill. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, this bill is out on a B roll call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion for the consent calendar? We have a motion by Eggman, a second by Wood. This bill is out on an A roll call. All other bills on the agenda are on suspense. Ms. Weber, thank you for joining us. Is everybody good?
It's good to be seen. I've been presenting bills all morning.
We're good? Okay.
Good to know I'm present. Okay, good.
Meeting's adjourned.